Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I am Satoshi Hashimoto, the Deputy Director General of the JOGMEC. It's my honor to welcome great presentators and start the first sessions. The session title is how can we mitigate the supply chain risk? It's a very important and crucial topics at this kind of the situations. In yesterday's event hosted by the MITIs, there was a similar topics and great discussions. Today, we invite the different speakers from Europe. First of all, I would like to introduce great presentators. So today, the first could you introduce by the Stephane-san shortly?
Yeah, minasama konnichiwa.
Hello, everyone.
That's all I have in Japanese. So my name is Stephane BOURG. I'm the director of the French Mineral Intelligence Center at the French Geological Survey. The French Mineral Intelligence Center, Ofremi, is in charge to work closely with the French industry and the French government to analyze together with them all the risks on their supply chains and to build together mitigation or remediation actions. And thank you very much for the great opportunity to be here today and presenting you what we are doing in the frame of this French Mineral Intelligence Center. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So next, Siya-san.
Konnichiwa. So my name is Siyamend BRGM, Siya. I'm head of the unit Mineral Economics at DERA. DERA is the German Mineral Resources Agency. We are part of the Geological Survey. Our unit was founded 15 years ago. The goal was to help the German industry and also our government to understand certain supply chains better. So we analyze supply and demand, we monitor price developments in the market, and we publish risk assessments for certain commodity markets. So we're in close contact with our German industry and with our government, and we try to support them in all relevant questions when it comes to supply chain risk and supply chain security. Thank you for the invitation, Satoshi. I'm very happy to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Last, Simonson.
Konnichiwa from my side.
私もこんにちはと申し上げます。
As well, and thank you very much for the invitation and the opportunity to share some insights. I think most of you should know BMW. So for those who don't, we are a car manufacturer, so we are producing cars. I'm responsible for raw materials policy and the overall raw materials strategy in the department Raw Materials Strategy and Risk Management, which was founded 3 years ago at BMW. So the decision was made to combine expertise in one department, raw material expertise in BMW in the company, and from my background, I'm a mining engineer, so it's it's not so often that mining engineers work for an OEM, for a car manufacturer, but I think that it is a very good decision that we as an OEM try to go into the raw material supply chain and mitigate risks.
Thank you very much to all of the presenters by the great Japanese greetings. Anyway, to be honest, this topic is very, very sensitive for everybody. And maybe this is a very open style discussion. So maybe we cannot say everything, but they would like to try to explain the 5 minutes short presentation as much as possible. First of all, I would like to asking the Stephane-san's presentations first, please.
Thank you very much. So yeah, I will present you in a few words what we are doing in the frame of the Mineral Intelligence Center regarding stress test and public-private collaborations. We heard this already yesterday. Public-private is key in the economic security, and also based on our experience. So as I told you, the French Mineral Intelligence Center is part of a global organization at the French level today. We are quite lucky to have an interministerial delegation in order to coordinate the activity of the different ministries around the critical raw materials. And the Ofremi is the technical arm to this strategy, bringing different analyses. I will summarize right after. We have also an investment fund on equity led by Infravia, and we have also public investment at the French level with the Public Investment Bank. And all of this, of course, is always done in coordination and cooperation with all the activities at the European level in the frame of the Critical Raw Materials Act, and also now in the Plan Resource EU, the new action plan that was announced last week. Why the observatory? Why the Ofremi? What is first very important is to know the risk. And for this, we have different tools. One of them is the criticality assessment and the capitalization of the knowledge in the criticality fact sheets that are available to our members. And also, when needed, a specific criticality assessment for one enterprise on their specific risks. The second very important point is knowing the vulnerabilities. And for this, we carry out stress tests. It's based on a value chain mapping, vulnerabilities analysis, impacts analysis, and then mitigation actions plan. And also, to keep the people aware and to capitalize all this information, it's important to being alerted. And for this, we have an information system built on dashboards and interactive dashboards. The way we work is not starting at the raw materials, but we start at what we need in our economy. So typically, for example, we need energy transition, we need geopolitics sovereignty. For this, we need to work on mobility, energy, digital, so on and so on. And then there are specific technologies to address, and in these technologies, different metals that are specialty metals, but also base metals that are key for electric transition, for example, like copper or aluminum. Now I come back on the stress test that are at the core of our analysis. Doing a stress test is not easy. Each value chain is very specific. They are organized differently with an integration at the French level industry totally different. So we need to understand this. So we have to go to a mapping. And the only way to succeed is to work directly with the industry. So we organize working groups with the industry where we can exchange with a given level of confidentiality, of course. And with this, we can build a value chain. And then we go with the brainstorming into impact assessment, capacity to react, or other actions, one of them being the evaluation of the cost of inaction. And I will come back to this. What is a value chain mapping? You have here an example. You can't read, it's normal. But just for your information, it's the gallium value chain. And you have in yellow the applications, in purple the different steps of the transformation, in blue the non-Chinese companies, and in pink the Chinese companies, and in gray it's all the questions we have to address. So we work like this by building the value chain by iterations and by discussion, and then we identify the European companies, sometimes international companies linked to European companies, and we go with them and try to understand how they work and how they could reinforce their resilience. Another tool to raise the awareness of the importance of securing a supply chain is what we call the cost of inaction. Everybody knows how it costs to change the behavior. It's more difficult to understand how it will cost to not change the behavior. And just to illustrate, don't look at the figures, they are purely illustrative. The order of magnitude is okay, but for the rest, it's not. Let's say that a key focus today is the rare earth magnets. There are many magnets in a car, not only in an EV car, but also in an ICE car. And let's say the total amount of magnets in a car is around 200 something euros. or less than 200 euros. If they would be made in Europe, it will be more than 200 euros. And the delta, finally, is what we have to add to have an insurance to be sure to have our magnets. And with this, we can build the cost of inaction. And let's see, so we have here 20 euros for the non-EV cars. If we build 1 million cars, the extra cost is 20 million euro. It's very easy. However, the total business of the car industry in France is over 10 billion euros. So if you do nothing, you could lose 10 billion euros. If you do something, it will cost 20 million euros. Then you can decide on the level of the insurance, 50%, 100%, 10%, and this can leverage some mechanisms in a public-private behavior to securize your value chain. Another way to make this understandable is to building tabletop exercise or serious game. We do this once a year by gathering industries. 2 years ago, it was on the battery value chain. And here the idea is not to work on actual data. It's really to raise awareness, to engage the industry and the government people around the table, to exchange, share their views, test options in their reactivities, and nobody plays its own role, which is very important because if you do this, nobody comes to your game. I will just conclude by the return of experience. It's very important to involve the industry and enhance collaboration between private and public. It's very important to raise the awareness among the ecosystem, public and private. Both have to understand each other. It's also important to understand the position of the geopolitical actions. It's not only trade, it's much more complex. We have to understand our vulnerabilities, support the industry, and at the end, we need to create new partnerships. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Stephane, and thank you very much about sharing the French great advanced experience and then trial. And next, I'd like to invite the Germany's experience and example for that. Sia-san, please.
Yeah, thank you very much again for the invitation, and congratulations to your first Economic Security Forum yesterday. I think it's right on time, it came at the right time, and you covered the right topic there. So Japan is not alone. Germany is a very similar situation. So Germany is a very import-dependent country, similar to Japan, but unfortunately, we don't have a JOGMEC yet. We have a raw material fund, which was implemented last year. I have one slide, the last slide here on my presentation. We have 1 billion available to invest into mining, refining, and recycling projects along the value chain, which will help us. So this is a good measure. So today I only have 5 minutes, very short time. I will present you one of our latest projects, real-time monitoring to identify price and supply risks. To give you some background information on the German Mineral Resources Agency, as I mentioned, we are part of the Geological Survey, the Federal Institute for Geoscience and Natural Resources. We are subordinate to the Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs and Energy, and we were founded 15 years ago as part of the first German raw material strategy. Right now, what you see on the slide, we are structured in those 3 units. I'm head of the first unit, Mineral Economics. I have my colleague here in the room, Sven-Uwe Schulz, who is in charge of the second unit, Evaluation of Mineral Resources, and quite unique for the Geological Survey. 3 years ago, we founded a third unit on secondary raw materials. We have 30 people, almost 30 people, and the main goal is to support the German industry and our government with information. So we have set up a raw material monitoring system, so we cover supply, demand, and we write risk assessment reports. 3 to 4 years ago, we realized the global markets have changed. We need another tool. We need to, or our goal was to inform the industry about certain incidents which might have an effect on supply and price risks. So we started with the first pilot. We had the idea to analyze a lot of information for real-time tracking of risks in mineral raw materials markets. And here you can see a paper which we published in 2022. So first, we thought we can set up such a system in-house within BGR on our own. We realized quite quickly we don't have the competence and the know-how and the IT infrastructure to do that, so we looked for a partner. We did certain pilots with different organizations. We gave them the relevant locations for mining and refining and also trading hubs. And those locations needed to be monitored. If there would be an incident, we would like to inform the industry and our government about those incidents. The whole idea behind our activities you see in this chart here. So upstream supply chain risk can propagate through the full supply chain and trigger price and supply risks. We saw that many times. We saw that in the last 2 years, especially due to export restrictions. And the whole idea is if we identify a certain incident in mining or refining or in trading, we would like to give an alert to the relevant industry stakeholders so they can assess if that incident is maybe affecting the supply chain. So today we partnered with a company called Everstream Analytics. There are several companies out there who are doing supply chain risk management, supply chain risk mapping. So we tendered for such an activity, and now we work together with that company. What you see on that slide here is you see several risks. So that company can assess or identify supplier-based risks, natural occurrences risks, transportation risks, socio-political risks, all kinds of risks. For us, most important is if you have a disruption, production disruption at mining or at refining stage. So the whole idea was to provide that company with the mining locations and refining locations globally. Right now in the system we have 908 mining and refining locations you see on that map. By now only unfortunately for 10 commodities. So we are working to increase the number of commodities within the system. And the system works like this. We can teach the system which incidents are relevant and important for us. We then receive a certain incident for a certain commodity. The main task from our side is to look at that incident and really assess if that incident can have an effect on price and supply risks. This is not easy, but it works. And we just announced last week 2 or 3 new alerts. We are in the test phase now with the German industry. And we published the first 3 alerts last week. So our lesson learned from that kind of work is that you need the data. You need the location and you need the activity status of every mine and refining location. You need the production volume of that certain operation. You need to update it on an annual basis at least. And you need to know your key market operators globally when it comes to certain raw material markets. And you need the key market operators in Germany, which you would like to inform about certain risks. So in summary, valuation based on high quality data can reduce price and supply risk. We believe and we know it works, it can help. But it's not the only tool. There are many tools out there that can help to mitigate risks. And one other measure from the German side, and this is my last slide here, is the German Raw Material Fund, which I mentioned early on. I hope that this is only a starting point. It would be great if Germany could even increase such activities. We look to Japan. We know what JOGMEC is doing and is capable of doing to support the local industry. With that tool, Germany can invest into projects along the supply chain. So we hope to see more action in that regard. And with that, I'd like to thank you for your attention. Arigato.
Thank you very much for your explanation. And then next, I would like to invite Mr. Siyamend. He's from BMW. The Sia-san and Stephane-san is coming from the government side, but Simon is only coming from the private side. I think they had a different type of the presentations. So please, thank you very much.
Thank you. I tried to give a short insight from the industry perspective, but Sia, you mentioned we do not have a JOGMEC in Germany, but maybe the German Raw Materials Agency can become a German JOGMEC. So we are open for discussion. But first of all, let me maybe start with a general classification and give you a short insight. So the BMW Group, so this is BMW, Mini and Rolls-Royce, has been working on responsible raw materials management and resilient raw material procurement, not only since the European Union has introduced political measures to secure raw material supply chains, such as Critical Raw Materials Act, or last week, the Resource EU Action Plan. We can draw on many years of experiences in international raw material markets. And for this reason, we have optimized our approach to tackling current challenges. We have founded our department, Raw Material Strategy and Risk Management, 2 years ago. And our declared goal is, so this is our declared goal for the raw material supply chain, is to ensure responsible mining and processing of raw materials and to establish resilient raw material supply chains. So how can we achieve this goal? Our starting point, you can see here, is a multi-stage raw material process. To give you a short overview, I will not go into all steps, but we firstly analyze our raw materials portfolio in regular intervals to create transparency about raw material risks. And this portfolio analysis takes a holistic approach and includes an assessment of availability, ESG-related and price risks. And in the end, we want to derive appropriate measures to mitigate identified risks. And the automotive supply chain is a very complex supply chain. I think in Germany we have very, very complex supply chains, especially from the automotive industry. So we want to have a very simple but very effective approach when it comes to mitigating risks. And 2 examples. There are several measures which we can use to mitigate risks. 2 examples to secure availability and ensure the resilience of our battery generation, of our battery supply chain, so the battery raw materials. We purchase raw materials, cobalt and lithium directly and provide them to our entire supply chain. And to secure raw material prices, we hedge individual raw materials on the financial market. So in summary, we do have a very proactive approach and a holistic approach which allows us to react quickly to potential changes in the market. But the next point, all our actions are caught in between the conflicting priorities of resilience, competitiveness, and sustainability. And I think this is a very important point when it comes to the mitigation of risks. Resilience means ensuring security of raw material supply, even in volatile markets. Competitiveness means keeping an eye on costs and quality. And sustainability is essential, especially for us, but not only for the environment. Sustainability means also using secondary raw materials. So what we propose to resolve this conflict and to resolve these conflicting areas, what we demand for is a coordinated approach and a strong presence on international raw material markets to increase diversification. Second point is European raw materials policy as part of a holistic and integrated European industrial policy. So the raw material supply chain is part of the entire supply chain. So if we're talking about the raw material policy, it must be integrated in the industrial policy. If we're talking about ESG requirements, if we're talking about energy costs, etc. And the last point, promoting sustainability in supply chains and reducing dependencies through responsible raw materials procurement and a circular economy. So for example, if you use secondary raw materials and we have a competitive recycling industry in Europe, we can reduce dependencies on primary raw materials, as an example. But for that, we need also a consistent industrial policy in Europe. So in the end, only if we pursue these approaches together, we can resolve the tensions between the conflicting areas. And I think Japan should be an example for Europe, for Germany. I think especially the close cooperation between politics and companies, politics and industries should serve as an example for us in Europe. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation and great time management by the presenters or the presenter. And I would like to move to the Q&A sessions. First of all, I would like to ask the general question for the presenter. First, what is your current challenge or biggest headache for your entity or your companies in these situations? For the JOGMEC side, I think we had a lot of the policy demand to do a lot of the thing for the reduce our the risk from the critical minerals. Especially we had, as I mentioned in the morning sessions, we have a lot of the financial support scheme and also the stockpiling, the very unique framework. So to be honest, we had a lot of the discussion with the private companies and day by day. But on the other hand, that kind of the demand is very dramatically increasing. So we need a lot of the much more capacity for the JOGMEC people's workforce. So that is one of the headache, and then we have a lot of things. But please answer from the Stephane-san. So what are your challenge? Your country or the organization, whatever, please.
Thank you very much. How long I have to answer this question? 20 minutes is not only for me. No, there are so many challenges to face that I will first I will say that what is very important today for us is to convince the industry that the situation will never come back to normal, I think, in the supply chains. They will be at risk all the time. They will be up and down, high price, low price, easy supply, difficult supply, but it will never come back to a flat system and with a certain resilience and calm. So we have to convince them of this situation. And for this, I think the current situation and the events of the last 6 months are very useful for us to explain this. And the second challenge is to convince the downstream industry to be part of this new organization of the value chain by securing themselves their supply by investing in the upstream. Today, if we extract minerals from the ground, if we refine them, if we manufacture, if we separate oxide, make metal and magnets, is for the car to be driven and the plane to fly. It's not just for a market organization and making money. So they need magnets and they have to be involved. So this is very important. And of course, if they build cars or planes, it's because there are consumers. And it means also that we have also to build this in a public-private system, because of course this is for the society that everything is done. So a real responsibility of all the players. And again, if a downstream player invests at the mining, finally it can secure its oil supply, like an insurance mechanism or whatever. So for me, this is very, very important. And for this, we have to raise awareness. We need specific tools. And one on which we are working is a real-time monitoring also, but on value chain. Not to be comprehensive, but maybe on a few examples, in order to allow all the players to feel online and on real time the domino effect that can perturb a system very easily. It could be a strike in a harbor, it could be a problem in a mine, it could be a volcano eruption, whatever. But everything is at risk, and for this we need then different solutions in the de-risking, diversification in different parts of the world, diversification in terms of technological solutions, and so on and so on. I will stop here.
Thank you. So how about Siyamend? So do you have anything?
Yeah, I almost could repeat what Stephane just said, because Germany is also in a very similar situation. I mean, the last 2 years were really, really challenging for Germany. I mean, it started with gallium, germanium, and then antimony, tungsten, and you name it, right? So there were so many commodities which were under export control and still under export control. And the German industry, they felt it. They felt it quite substantially, especially when it came to permanent magnets. Germany is the largest importer of permanent magnets globally. Right? So we have a very high import dependency, and if those materials aren't available in our country, there's a lot of value addition which we could lose. So we had especially the same talks like Stephane with the German industry, and we are also trying to convince them to be more proactive to secure certain parts of the supply chain, or to invest in certain parts of the supply chain. But it is easy said, but it's very difficult to do for them, because, I mean, we are still a mining country, right? But we are not mining for metals. We mine for all kinds of other materials. We have refining capacities in Germany still left, and we have recycling activities in Germany. I don't believe that it would be good to see more mining in Europe. I doubt that will happen on a large scale. It might happen on small scale or only for a few companies. So there might be some activities available there, but we have a very large or expensive energy costs in Germany. So the question there is, for such high energy intensive industries, if Germany is the right place for certain activities. So therefore, we only need to talk and be more proactive with partners globally, our global partners, to secure certain supply chains. So we have a lot of challenges ahead of us. I'm very similar to what you just said, Stephane. I don't see that they will go away immediately. And we hear about during the day, we will hear about more of that. So the global challenges and the geopolitical tensions, to my personal opinion, they will stay in the market. And fortunately, we see some companies become more proactive in that field, and I would like to see even more. And yeah, collaboration is also maybe key. We heard that yesterday, we will hear that today. I think collaboration between Europe and Japan would also be very helpful for certain critical raw material supply chains.
Thank you. So last is Simon. I think you have a little bit different type of the headache you have.
I try to point out one challenge. So I've mentioned the entire supply chain, and from our perspective, I think individual companies are reaching their limits in this area. Why? Because we have a characterized, or a small and medium-sized characterized supply chain. So most of the companies in our N-tier supply chain, I'm not talking about tier 1 or tier 2, but in the N-tier supply chain are small and medium-sized enterprises. So they have 100, 150 employees. And if we're talking about sustainability requirements, if we're talking about diversification, if we're talking about competitiveness, it is, I think, quite hard for them to reduce dependencies, ensure ESG requirements, etc. So we need to find solutions and we need to find appropriate measures for these companies to solve current challenges. And maybe a cross-industry cooperation could ensure security of supply chains or could help SMEs to increase diversification. But I think it is too easy to just to look at the raw material or mining and processing and just to look what an OEM or an automotive manufacturer is doing. We need to have a closer look at, I think, also what DERA is doing with the analysis and with their monitoring system to have a support for the small and medium-sized enterprises.
Thank you. Thank you. So, yes, I would like to move to the next questions. Yes, I think Simonson is the first time to come to Japan, I think. So from the Simonson and then ended Stephane. So what is your expectations to JOGMEC or Japanese government or Japanese companies to own these topics? So what is your expectation to collaborate or something like that? If you have anything.
Yeah.
Okay, Stephane says. Yeah, it's okay. Stephane says.
No.
Start
with the industry.
We start with the industry today. Okay.
Sorry.
No worries. I think we already have a good cooperation, I think, between Japan and Germany. But I think what is very important is we should not produce more paper. We should not produce more MOUs. We should not produce more analysis of risks and new 100s of papers. We should act, and I think this is very challenging, especially for Germany as well. So we need to act. We need to get on an operational level. I think we all know what are the challenges in the future when it comes to sustainability, when it comes to secondary raw materials, when it comes to diversification, etc. But I think in Europe and in Germany, we are too slow when it comes to concrete actions. And that must change. And I think Japan is a good example how it could be in Germany and Europe. So I think a closer cooperation between Germany and Japan with concrete measures and concrete actions would be very helpful.
Thank you. So and then one thing you mentioned last time, the trading house, you didn't.
Yeah, I think the
companies.
Biggest difference when it comes to Germany and Japan. Japan has trading houses. We do not have similar entities in Germany. And when it comes to investing, here was a question if BMW is thinking of taking equity positions in critical mineral mines as part of its coordinated raw materials policy. No, but when it comes to investing in mines, there are Japanese trading houses invested, equity investments. I think this is a big difference, and we should think about in Germany of maybe finding partners here in Japan, or try to get a German JOGMEC, and I think this is a good point for Siyamend.
So next CSM, please.
I mean, we had discussions with JOGMEC before. I believe there is more room for collaboration in that field. Now we have at least a government fund, so joint investment is possible. But we need to understand, and I think everybody in that group understands, that certain critical raw material supply chains can be very complex. So we have to find, there's expertise, special expertise in Germany, there's special expertise in Japan, for example. So how do we match certain experts for a certain critical raw material supply chain? I'm pretty sure we can do that, and then I see there's room for more collaboration, of course, in that field. Yeah.
Thank you. So that's the Stephane sense.
Yeah, thank you. I think the key words were said yesterday afternoon. The economic security is public-private partnership and multilateral. So if we want to secure our supply chains, we have to work public, private, and with like-minded countries. And of course, Japan is one of them. And in Japan, JOGMEC is the key partner. We have already a good experience with France. It's public, it was mentioned. JOGMEC and Iwatani invest in Carester in France, which is both a magnet recycling and heavy rare earth separation plant. The production of this plant will be useful both for Europe and Japan. Europe alone cannot build this, maybe Japan alone also. So we join forces, and therefore we have a business and industrial success. So we can find others, I'm sure, in Japan, in France, or abroad, where we can come together. And this is really where we can work. And the second level is on our core activity, value chain analysis, risk analysis, criticality assessment, where we can continue to share our tools, our methods. And of course, to come on one of the questions, not the data, because very often the data are confidential. And if we can be efficient at the country level, is because we have the trust of our private industries and our government. And of course, these data are very, very confidential. But however, the tools we use, the methodologies we use, certain level of aggregated information we get, I think there is a mutual benefit to share them. And we have already do this, and we will continue, of course, to develop this with Japan government, and Japanese industry.
Thank you very much. So yes, I totally agree with all of you. Yes, we have a lot of the collaboration rooms additionally, I think, especially as Simon-san mentioned about, so we need a concrete, tangible development, It's meaning I think it's some cases, the co-investment to mitigate about some of the critical minerals or something like that. So yeah, I think this kind of the symposium or session is one of the door or starting point to doing some things. So I'm so happy to see you here, and great to hear your real voice in this kind of the session. And we have a lot of a little bit minutes to this session. So I would like to choosing some of the questions from the online. I got it some guy. It's coming from the maybe academic side. So if do you have any academics collaboration or contribution from with the academic side? So
yeah,
they have it.
First of all, the French Observatory is based on the expertise of French research organization, plus, and he's in the room, the French International Relationship Institute for the geopolitics. But so we are RTOs. So we have researchers. The Ofremi itself is not carrying any research, but however, we have a lot of exchange with academia, in particular to get some methodologies from them in order to help to analyze different topics. It could be on environmental value chain, it could be a life cycle assessment, it could be different monitoring tool. One key topic today that is still at the academic level is raw materials traceability, where we need new technologies to monitor them, both scientific and both maybe also based on artificial intelligence tools. And second, and maybe more important, if not too late, we have to develop our own IP on some key technologies for which we are very dependent from what was said yesterday, an elephant. And for this, of course, it starts at the university. And if we want the research to be very efficient, it has to be in close collaboration with industry. So we need universities working with industries for quick wins with ex-China IP on key technologies.
Thank you. So how about Siyamend? Do you have anything for data or something?
I mean, we are at DERA, we are only 30 people. We are part of the Geological Survey, which has 750 people, where there's a lot of research carried out. And it's very similar to what Stephane said. So we need academia, we need research in that field. I believe in some areas we are already too late. Like in Germany especially, we lost track of certain processing know-how. We just lost that because it was easier to source cheaply in other countries. So therefore, I'm a little bit afraid that it will cost us a lot of money if we would like to get back into certain supply chains. This needs to be understood. And so far, I don't see the right actions to invest into certain supply chains. So therefore, we need to focus. We need to focus on key supply chains which are relevant for the European industry, and I think there's more action to be done in that field. I think what we are doing currently is not enough.
Thank you. Do you have, Simonson, any additional?
Of course, we have cooperation with universities and research facilities. But I just want to point out the cooperation with universities when it comes to mining expertise and processing expertise. I think what is very unique in Europe is the European Mining Course. It is a cooperation between 3 universities in Tallinn, Aachen, and Austria. So this is a European master degree where you can study, you can become a mining engineer, and I think this is very unique and is supported by industries, and that we can build the new mining engineers for the coming challenges.
Thank you. So the time is over. So very short time discussion, but I think it's very informative and the great discussion with the great presenter. So thank you for all the participants and the presenters. Once again, I would like to ask for the great appeal to the presenters. Thank you very much.